president has told advisors that he wants to travel extensively and hold rallies, and that he's looking forward to spending much of 2018 campaigning. So will Republican candidates, are they going to welcome the president's campaign efforts, or, Liz, you think they might view this as a risk?
I think it depends on the candidate, and it depends on where they're running, and it depends on the nature of the district or the state. Look, there are some places where the president is an asset. I think that there are far more places where he is a liability. But I think it's also worth remembering that for as much as the president may be posturing as if he wants to help Republican candidates, pretty much the president's favorite pastime is actually making life difficult for Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan and causing them trouble and generally being up to mischief in that regard. So I think you kind of have to look at what he's saying with that in mind. With that being said, as I noted, there are places where he will be an asset. I think for somebody like Marsha Blackburn running in Tennessee, he might actually be an asset someplace like that. I think if you're looking at, for example, Barbara Comstock's district in Northern Virginia, which is very close to where I live, I don't think Barbara Comstock probably wants the president anywhere near that district. Certainly as a supporter of hers, I would prefer that he stay away. I think it's been demonstrated that when Donald Trump meddles in Virginia politics, it doesn't tend to work out very well for Republicans.
Yeah, that's true. This same article, Howard, it says that the White House political team says that its messaging in 2018 is going to largely focus on the economy. So what about the message from the Democrats? Are they falling behind on creating their own strategy for 2018? We have discussed many times how it is never beneficial to approach anything from a strategic standpoint as just being the party of no or not the other guy.
Well, actually, unfortunately, that worked quite well for the Republicans. The Republicans took 63 seats in 2010 and then some more in 2014 by being the party of no. So for better or for worse, and I don't think it's so great for the country, all you have to do is be against Trump and remind people, Barbara Comstock may not want Trump in her district, but he's going to be on television every night right next to Barbara Comstock, thanks to our ad guys. But in 2020, when you're running for president, you have to have a positive message about what you would do that's different than the person who's running. So I do think the message that we've got, which is about the economy. See, the problem with Trump and his talk about the economy is ordinary people aren't feeling the good economy. In fact, some people are feeling exactly the opposite. It's not been any easier from somebody in Iowa or Michigan or Pennsylvania to get a job now that Donald Trump is president, and they know that. So, you know, I think his record speaks for itself, and I do expect to take back the House, and I think we've got a good shot at the Senate now.
Okay. Quickly, I want to get to the significant polling numbers out this morning from our NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, which shows 50% of voters say they prefer a Democrat-controlled Congress, 39% saying stay Republican. 59% of Democrats reported a high level of interest in next year's elections compared to 49% of Republicans. Are Republicans at a disadvantage, Liz, heading into 2018? And then to you, Howard, I want you to think about, is it going to all be about turnout in a midterm election, which is typically less than a general election? Liz first. I
think it depends a little bit on where you're looking. I think when you're looking at the House, I would say that Democrats do have the edge there because, candidly, in your first midterm election of a presidency, oftentimes the opposite party or the party that's not in power does come into power. So you've got that trend. Plus, also, you just have a lot of enthusiasm for Democrats. We've seen that that has been a factor, most recently in this Alabama Senate special election. And I think that that's something that they probably can use to retake the House. And I'd say that's more likely than not. With regard to the Senate, it's a lot harder to look at because we obviously have seats that are currently Republican held that are very vulnerable, and I think Democrats stand a good chance of taking, namely Nevada and Arizona. You put that on top of the Alabama Senate win, and realistically, then you're in a place where if Democrats can hold all their vulnerable seats, Republicans are not going to be in a good place on Election Day. But that's your question, is can Democrats hold those vulnerable seats? Because you do have people running in places that are more Trump-friendly, like North Dakota and Missouri, who are up, and you just don't know what's going to happen there. And so I think the Senate is a tougher calculus.
Howard, I'm out of time, but do you think these numbers from the NBC poll showing the enthusiasm by Democrats, does that encourage you?
Well, yes, but I actually agree with Liz on her analysis. These polls are all fine and good. We're over a year out.
Right.
We are a year out. So we really, if this poll was in September, I would think it would mean a lot more than it actually does.